Well, the military has expelled France's ambassador to Mali after the French foreign minister said the junta was illegitimate and out of control. A recent communique showing that the landlocked country severed diplomatic ties with Paris and changed its official language from French to Bambara and ordered French troops to leave the country. Joining us now is researcher at the Thabo Mbeki African School of Public and International Affairs at Unisa, Advocate Sipho Mantula. Advocate Mantula, anti-French sentiment has been simmering on the streets of Bamako and expressed not least of which in those protests that drew thousands of people brandishing those placards that said, "We want France out." I guess no surprises that things have come to this point.
Correct, this is the evening to the viewers. One will understand that the tensions between France and Mali has been there since even the 1960s and the 1970s. But if you look back at the incident of France pursuing even ECOWAS to put sanctions on Mali, if I can tell you, most of the key events will include how France has been begging ECOWAS to sanction Mali, how France as well was using Denmark with their probes in this current crisis. And that's where one, if look back, Mali last week as well expelled Denmark. And now when you look at those sentiments, Mr. Casey, the issue of Africanizing our governance and the issue of the moving away from your former colonial master, I think the new military leaders in Mali or in the Sahel are now worried about this French presence. But the French are worried about the Russians now, because the Russians are in Mali now. And that's where we see this tension diplomatically playing out between Bamako and Paris. And at the same time, we find Moscow is in the middle of this role of what they say private mercenaries.
Of course, you know, that's part of the difficulty with the situation is that while there's the military situation unfolding in the country, for a global perspective, you also have countries that are vested due to the shifting balance of powers. And it's a scramble for these countries to maintain power, to maintain presence for their own interests.
Correctly, others are saying is Europeanizing the Sahel region. You understand that France presence in Ouagadougou, it was its presence in Niger, presence in Guinea-Conakry, but when the Operation Barkhane came to an end in June, and only December when they moved out, they came under a new proximation, Takuba. So if you look at this, Sister Katie, it is all about the exploitation of natural resources in the Sahel region, and that goes with the cost, because it is the ordinary people who suffers cost his own ambassador to be moved out of Mali within 72 hours. That shows that the French dominate, the French hegemony in most of West African countries is coming to be unmasked and then being given to the ECOWAS to say, but how do we still work with our former colonizers? Because other issues, Casey, it is the issue of funding. Most of these countries have been relying solely in the EU fund, solely on their former colonizers. And that has to come to an end, because Walter Rodney reminded us how Africa was underdeveloped by Europe and how Africa developed Europe. That's how we are finding ourselves in this complex and this dilemma of your former colonizer still having appetite to still recolonize you. And the issue of language, I think it is a good move, and I think Mali might be leading us to another way of saying there's no need to still be holding into the former colonizer's culture and identity.
Advocate Mantula, that's all we have time for tonight.